So how well do you know your sound system? The reason I'm bringing this up is because the last couple of videos that I've done here on YouTube are dealing with that electro-voice EKX system that I use for the 800 student school dance, and a lot of people are saying it was very irresponsible to do that. However, I knew the system well enough, and I knew the room well enough, and I knew what my sound objectives were, and I pulled it off no problem. Nobody complained, everybody liked it. 800 kids danced for 3 hours. The Maui 5Go from LD Systems. I've been using that for probably about a year and a half now. I really like it, and it's primarily for wedding ceremonies. I could do an outdoor wedding ceremony with that thing for like a couple hundred people, and it's fine. And that's music, and that's microphone. It's not a problem. Now, when you move indoors, it changes because the sound doesn't travel as well, and you can still use it, but you've got to give it more juice. If I had a small bar where I wanted to do dance music volume levels for, I don't know, 60 to 80 people, I can do it with two. I've done it. I wouldn't push it any further than that. But it's also really good, I feel like, for residences. If you're doing a party at someone's home, it's ideal. One is fine. It's good for near field listening too, which is nice. Sometimes when you bring a top cab with something horn loaded in it, it tends to honk at people, where this doesn't. It's smooth. I can listen to this thing. It's right here. I can listen to it down here, and it's not hurting my ears. It sounds just as good as any speaker system I have anywhere else in the house. The FBT CS1000 is another example. I went to Puerto Rican Art, Italy, and everybody there told me this system is good for 200 tops. You can't do any more than that. I easily was able to do a corporate event with speeches and announcements and dancing for 275. Now, the only reason I was able to do that at all is because I was familiar with the system. I used it in Italy, I used it here at home at several gigs, and I didn't really have a problem with bringing it out for this 275 person event. Any speaker system that you have is going to perform better if you're sending a clean signal to it. So I've got a really good mixer with a really good sound card. I'm using really good audio files, and it helps. If I was using a substandard mixer and maybe some kind of rigged up mini plug to RCA coming from my laptop to my mixing board and less than 320k MP3 files, the system would suffer. I wouldn't be able to do as much with it. It wouldn't be as potent or as effective. Now, I was talking to Jay Brennan earlier today, and he was saying when he does a wedding reception, no matter how many people are present, if I'm sitting at a table and talking to my daughter and we have to scream at each other off the dance floor, he's not doing his job, because he feels like all of that sound needs to be on the dance floor, regardless of how many people are at the event. I tend to agree. You don't want to fill a whole room with sound when you've got conversation areas other places in the room. That's my philosophy. Those are my sound objectives. That's how I do things, but everyone does them different. I have another friend who does large school dances in Milwaukee. Now, I know they're not high-paying events or anything like that, but he does a lot of them. He does a lot of repeat business, and he uses relatively small stuff. He's using a 12-inch subwoofer, and he's using, I think, 12-inch top cabinets. Nothing special, but he does a lot of school dances in gymnasiums, and he keeps getting hired back because it's working for him. He's familiar with the system. He knows what it's capable of, and he knows what they expect of it, and he knows what it can do. And I'm not suggesting that I have the same sound objectives that he does. I'm not suggesting that I would bring a 12-inch woofer with two 12-inch top cabs to a school dance, but it's working for him. So it's important to know your system. Don't completely ignore the experts. Don't completely ignore what someone says when they tell you, hey, you'd be pushing it if you try to do more than this many people at an event. Don't ignore that. But if you've got some personal real-world experience with your system, then you're going to be able to make that judgment call on what it's actually capable of. And it might not be what they tell you necessarily. Figure it out yourself. That's it. Quick video for you today. We'll see you next time. Practice and enjoy.